Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look. We've got our TP. We're going to go ahead and hide these other layers, and we'll go ahead and turn off TP. And let's go ahead and switch to this viewport, and let's take a look. Here we've got that top level null that we talked about, TP op export. That's just located at the origin, and it just acts as a parent, a holder object, where all these other nodes that have been exported are the children of that object. And here you can see what export has to do is it actually has to create the whole object starting from the beginning of the timeline. And what it's going to do is it's going to, you can see where some of these guys look opaque or semi-transparent. It's going to animate the visibility based on when he's born. So up until the time that he's born, he's going to be invisible. But once he's born, of course, his visibility is going to go to 1, and he'll be visible out in the scene. Let's see, those all spray out there. And each one of these is its own max node with its own keyframes. Okay, let's go ahead and switch back around. We're going to go ahead and just use the remove function to clear all that whole export out. It's going to remove the TP op export and all of his children. And let's go ahead and reveal those other guys again. And now we want to talk about how we can modify TP groups as max meshes. The fastest and easiest way. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, let's go back to export and just give a quick little rundown on deforming meshes. Export has the ability to export particles with position, rotation, and scale. It's not going to do deformation. If you have particle groups doing a shape collision and use the new deformation, it's not going to export that. But it can do fragments. So if you decide to fragment an object, then those fragments can actually be exported into actual max nodes and modified. You have to watch out if the remaining source mesh is changing from frame to frame, and so it's going to treat that differently during the export process. Do an experiment with that and you'll see. Okay, but now let's get back into modifying the actual groups and modifying their meshes as max nodes. And the way we're going to do this is really easy. We just come up to Master Dynamic and we say we want to turn on groups as objects. And what this does, you can see a whole bunch of little icons and blue names appeared there. It creates a max node for each group that we have here. And so now when we do the select objects, we see all of those groups listed right there. And of course they're arranged in a hierarchy just like they are here. We can, for our example, we're going to take the red group, which we're born on this plane, we'll select him, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the object. We can see it's a P group object, and it's got a TP P group modifier on it. And what we can do now is we can go ahead and take any other modifier that we want and apply it to that object, and we can go ahead and modify his actual mesh. Let's say we wanted to go ahead and maybe add an edit poly and delete a few of his objects there, or elements. And we can go ahead and do that. We can also use Mesher. Mesher is very similar to using the groups as objects. In most cases, I would probably just recommend using just groups as objects unless you had a specific need for Mesher. But just know that if you do want to use Mesher, you should turn on groups as objects, and we'll go ahead and create our Mesher. Oops, not that way, but this way. And then we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and pick that red group there. And now you can see the Mesher goes ahead and references him. You can see that the red group here, if we move, his actual pivot point is at the origin. And so this Mesher object also has the same offset for his pivot. Okay, so this has just been kind of an overview of the different ways that thinking particles can access max nodes and meshes and use those in his logic processing, as well as how we can take TP groups and treat them as max meshes. So there we go.